Latropeth language tutorial number 7, where we're looking at personal pronouns. What is a pronoun actually? So a pronoun is a form that will substitute for a noun. So if you have a narrative where you're saying something like, the grocer set up his stall at the market, the grocer opened his stall at 5 a.m. The second time round in the second sentence, you would not really repeat the noun again. Once you've introduced the noun, you would tend to just substitute it for a pronoun. So you just say the grocer set up his stall at the market, he opened it at 5 a.m. Personal pronouns, what are they exactly? Let's have a look at these personal pronoun forms in English. The way that they're classified is by number and person. So number is whether it's singular or plural. Person is as follows. So first person is the person speaking, second person is the person spoken to, third person is person or thing that has been spoken about. So in English you have in the singular for first person I or me, second person you, third person he, she or it, or him or her, the form you use depending on whether it's a subject or the object in the sentence. And then you got your plural forms. So first person is plural is we, the people speaking, second person plural, the people being spoken to. In English it's the same form you. In many other languages it's a different form for second person plural, but colloquially they often say use in English for plural second person. What are yous doing? And then the third person plural, you're talking about more than one person or more than one thing, so they or them if it's the object in the sentence, which I probably should have written typed in there. Let's have a look at the concept, the equivalent concept in Latropeth. One thing you'll notice is that after the forms I put little dashes, hyphens, because more often than not you're just going to see these as prefixes in Latropeth on the verb. So we have our first person singular, I or me, the equivalent is amu. Second person singular, you, is atu. There is no real third person equivalent to he, she or it as such in Latropeth. It's really just whatever the relevant prefix is that cross-references the noun class of whatever third person or thing you're talking about, and that will just appear as usual as part of the verb. You might actually omit the noun itself from the sentence, and basically that does the work of the third person pronoun. You got your plural forms. Now with first person plural you have an exclusive and an inclusive form. So this is the equivalent of we. So amuba and amuba kayatu. Amuba, we exclusive, it means us not including you. The inclusive form, amuba kayatu, means us including you, or we including you. In spoken Latropeth, very often amuba, the simpler form, is used for both exclusive and inclusive. Then you've got your second person plural, use, atuba. And then the third person plural, similar situation to the third person singular, you just have the noun class prefix appearing. Now, in a basic sentence, personal pronouns are prefixed onto the verb in the same subject-object arrangements as for noun class prefixes. Now there is a variation of this when we start to get to sentences where there is an indirect object, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we have two sentences here, one above and one below. So the one above has no pronouns, and you have seen this sentence before in a previous lesson. The man eats the bread, so pia tawu yisna kumnu fam. In the second sentence, we've taken the man out of the equation, and we've substituted the subject with a pronoun, which is the first person singular pronoun, which means I or me. And we've got a sentence meaning I eat the bread. So we've got amu watawu yisnu fam. So now we've substituted in a few other sentences with a different personal pronoun prefix reflecting a different person who is actually doing the eating of the bread. So in the first one above we have the second person singular, so atu, you. Atu atawu yisnu fam. You eat the bread. Below that we have second person plural. Yous eat the bread. Atu bayatawu yisnu fam. Now let's exemplify the exclusive and inclusive forms of the first person plural. So you have amu bayatawu yisnu fam. Amuba is the first person plural exclusive, so this is we, not including you, eat the bread. And below that we have the inclusive form amuba kayatu, so we have amuba kayatu atawu yisnu fam. We, including you, eat the bread. Now, combined pronoun forms. So when you start to get a sentence with two pronouns, then you get these contracted forms. So this is just the forms, some of the forms in isolation. I'm not going through all of them. They are all outlined in the Latropeth grammar, which you can see on the Melbcentrix WordPress site. Here's three examples. The first person singular is the subject and the second person singular is the object. So I, you. You would expect it to be amu atu, but it's combined into amatu. Second person singular subject, first person singular object, atamu, not atu amu. And then the third example, subject is first person singular and object is second person plural. So first person singular is I or me, second person plural is yous. You would expect amu atuba in sequence, but it's actually amatuba. So let's exemplify the combined pronoun form. So if I want to say I see you, there's no nouns in that sentence, it's just pronouns. I have the subject first, the object second. I am the subject, the person doing the seeing. You're the object, the person receiving the action of the seeing. Therefore the sequence will be I and then you, and then the verb root, iki, to see, and the general verb ending yis. You would expect it to be amuatu wiki yis, but you have the special combined form of first person and second person singular in sequence is amatu, so you get amatu wiki yis, which translates as I see you. And here you have you the subject and me the object, and you would expect it to be atu amu iki yis, but you use the special contracted form for the second person singular followed by the first person singular in sequence, and you get atamu, so it's atamu wiki yis, you see me. And here is the third combined form that we looked at. So I see you plural, or I see yous. You would expect it, putting all the pieces together in isolation, you would expect it to be amu atu ba yiki yis, but it's actually amatu ba yiki yis. I see you plural, or I see yous. Now have a look at this sentence. So this sentence translates as I give you nuts. So remember, I am the subject, the one doing the giving. You are the indirect object because you are the person who's been given something to, and the direct object are the nuts that are actually being given. So we have here in this verb form, matua suya yis, the pronoun representing the subject, I, followed by the pronoun representing the indirect object, you, followed by the noun class prefix representing the direct object, the nuts. So the whole lot put together is matua suya yis, tifa. And not as you might expect from the previous sentences we've been looking at, amuasuya yatu yis tifa, which would be incorrect. And that's it for this lesson. Thank you very much for watching.